Welcome back to the Rise with Anita podcast, or welcome if you're new here. Honestly, I trust that all the right conversations that we're supposed to hear always finds us. So, just in case you're new here, this is a space where ambition meets our embodiment and where soul meets strategy, because you cannot have one without the other. And where we don't just talk about the change, we allow it to move through us. So if you're in a transition period right now, if you're shifting in something in terms of your life, there's some endings, a little bit of uncertainty, or plans that have not fully came into fruition yet, this episode is for you, because there is a very specific feeling that comes when you're in the in-between, where you're not who you were, but you're not fully embodied in the becoming yet. And for most women, this phase can feel very uncomfortable. But before we get any deeper, I want to bring you back to your body. I want you to take a moment for you. So feet on the ground, if you're able to do so. Soften your shoulders, relax your jaw, and just notice, what are you feeling right now? And inhale slowly through your nose for 4. Hold for 4. And exhale slowly through the mouth for 6. Again, inhale for 4. Hold for 4. And exhale slowly through the mouth for 6. Now allow your body to arrive in the present moment. So you're not just focused on your thoughts or your plans or even this conversation, but you're focused on feeling into your body. And here's the truth most people don't understand. The unknown doesn't feel unsafe because it actually is. It feels unsafe because our nervous systems have no reference point for it. And I always bring up that anything can really be unfamiliar if it's different from what you grew up with, or if it's different than what your nervous system has normalized as normal. So even a person who is accustomed to chaos, to patterns that are not necessarily healthy for them, the opposite of that, even if it is safe, will be questionable because their nervous system has not normalized it. So when we think about it, our body is wired for familiarity. It is wired for familiar pain over unfamiliar safety or unfamiliar comfort. So when we think about it, it's not wired for our expansion or our potential or what could be better for us. It's wired for what's already been survived by it. So even when it's familiar and it's been painful, even if whatever is familiar to your nervous system is misaligned, even if it's limiting, your body will pull you back towards that. Or you will have these sabotaging patterns because I'm not used to this feeling this good. Because to your nervous system, familiar is safe, even if it's not. And anything unfamiliar is sparked as danger. So this is why we can want something new. We can work towards achieving another level. But we can still feel the resistance. We can feel like it's unsafe, or there is no way to trust what's coming through in that moment. You can know you're meant for more, yet still feel anxious or overwhelmed, or even in a cycle of freeze while trying to attain this next level. Because growth doesn't just require change, it requires nervous system safety. It requires your body to be on board. So it needs to start feeling safe first inside the change before you're able to actually successfully keep the change. And this is a constant practice. And I know for me, I've had moments where even in relationships that felt good, that felt trusting, that felt care, I've had moments where I don't want to call it sabotaged, but potentially could have really sabotaged a relationship because it felt uncertain. It felt different in that context than what I was used to. So we have to catch ourselves, and the work of rewiring ourselves is a constant practice. It is constantly acknowledging that you have a growth area and you need to take a look to create that regulation as a discipline, as a practice, because otherwise you are more likely to self-sabotage. And most women try to solve uncertainty with control. And I know this because I have done the same thing. You try to figure it out. You plan for it. You'll force the clarity. You'll force an outcome. But the truth is, certainty does not actually create the safety. We're wired for certainty. And if you look at the human needs, it is one of our top 6 human needs. However, certainty alone cannot actually get you to where you want to go. Safety is not something you find in your future. It is an active practice that you have to generate within yourself. And this is where we make our shifts. Because when you stop trying to control what's next and start anchoring yourself into the unknown stops feeling like a threat and starts becoming a space of possibility, because you're actively working with, how do I create the safety within my body now? Not because all of a sudden you have answers, but because you can trust that you're able to handle whatever comes up for you. So if you're having moments where you're in a moment of uncertainty, or if you're like me, you're very entrepreneurial, there's day-to-day factors that you cannot control. I want you to start practicing and noticing how it feels when uncertainty comes up. Notice it in your body. Is there a tightness? Is it specifically in your chest, in your stomach area? Do you find yourself constantly clenching your jaw? Do you feel a sense of urgency to figure it out? Are you in your head? Are you operating in the decision of, let me figure this out? And you start overthinking and creating these cycles and loops, because that is not your intuition. That's your nervous system trying to regain some control. And anytime you're overthinking, you're in a state of reaction. And you are constantly causing a loop, which you need to be a little bit mindful of, because we start stacking at that point. What begins to be the story you're telling yourself during that? And instead of fighting it or trying to override everything, this is where you begin to notice and start meeting yourself. So here's one thing I am always starting to implement, and I'm going to actually ask you guys to practice this week. When you feel uncertainty or something is out of your control, don't rush to fix it. Pause and just notice at first what's coming up. Notice what sensations come up through that. And get curious, not from a place of judgment, but rather, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling what I'm feeling? And pay attention to the energy there. And after that, pause. Place your hand on a body part, whether that's your chest, your belly, and what you want to do is really co-regulate your system wherever you need to feel it the most. And gently remind yourself, I am safe even if I don't know what's next. I can create safety within me at any time. And this isn't from wishful thinking or to convince yourself. It's to start creating these moments of stillness that can help you create a new experience within the body. Because the more you do these things where you reconnect and you slow down and you become more intentional in that pause, the more you realize, I don't need the certainty to feel safe. I just need connection with myself. I just need to really pause and slow down. Because especially living in the United States, we tend to be so rushed. We want the outcome. And we live in a time where it's like we want everything Amazon primed from yesterday. And we have to get comfortable in the moments of the process of the becoming. And I was at an event back in October, and Monica Berg from the Kabbalah Center had articulated so beautifully, the process is the purpose. And this is how we aid in the process. By slowing down, creating an intentional pause. And over time, you begin to expand your capacity. Not by forcing yourself into this next level, but actually by becoming the woman who feels safe generating it. And one thing you can do is really look at what it is you're trying to create. Whether that's a certain level of income, a certain career goal, a certain relationship goal. And you can literally take those and remind yourself, I am safe in blank situation. And just repeat that and feel where the discomfort is and talk to it. It sounds a little woo, I understand, but it helps really create that safety. And when your physical nervous system starts to get on board, that's when things start manifesting much quicker. Because we don't do everything by force. The woman you're becoming doesn't need to have it all figured out. She just needs to not collapse into the unknown. That she stays in it. She breathes through it. She has trust that, and honestly, this is where a relationship with whatever you might call it, God, source, creator, universe, is where you start leaning on. And that trust and that work with creating the safety within your body becomes a beautiful complementary marriage that helps you get to your next level or to that next step. So if you are in a transition right now, if things are feeling unclear and you don't know what's next for you, you're not behind. You're not doing it wrong. You're in the space where transformation begins to happen. So you don't need to control your future to feel safe in it. You just need to trust yourself within it. I hope this episode was helpful, and I'll see you in the next episode.